Good morning and welcome to Abundant Living No Regrets. And today I am with the wonderful Johan.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Now, Johan is a performance coach and he helps people to magnify their greatness. And today I'm going to be talking to him about his abundant living tips. But first of all, Johan, thank you so much.
My pleasure.
For having this
You're
conversation.
Yeah.
And I would love to know a little bit more about you.
Yes.
And how you find yourself being a performance coach.
Okay. If I look back, there's been a common thread in everything I've done in my life. It has always put me in a position of working with teams of people.
Yeah.
I joined the Navy at quite an early age, and in order to find some freedom within the Navy and get treated with a little bit of respect, I realised that having a few stripes on your sleeve was a useful thing. So I got those, and I was in the position of leading people. I'm 16 years old, and I noticed there were two types of people. Those people who came to the situation fully and participated fully, and those who were resisting it. Yet they were well trained, but they were still resisting it. And I realized that they were resisting something above and beyond what we were teaching them or asking them to do. It was within them. And in life, I noticed that there are two groups of people, if you like. I'm simplifying, but people who are approaching everything fully and positively, and those who are struggling with it. So I figured if I could help those who are struggling with it deal with some of that struggle, I would get more participation from them. So, and later on I worked in the fast food business for 10 years, running lots of restaurants, fast food restaurants in the States and here in England. And the same thing there, people were being put through the management training programs, and they'd come out of those programs as managers, and some would take to it very powerfully and very well, and others with the same information struggled. And again, it was internal. So I created auxiliary training programs to help people deal with the internal.
Right.
And so that's what I do now. As a mentor and a coach, I work with people to help them address the internal conflicts, internal issues, so that they can come to life fully and fully present.
Absolutely.
And participate in a powerful way. Does that make sense?
Makes total sense, which is actually totally in line with abundant living, because
Excellent.
abundant living essentially is being in alignment with ourselves, so that we participate fully and show up.
Yes.
And so we are living the most abundant life with no regrets.
Yes.
Basically.
Beautiful.
So you work with complete diverse range of people?
I do. The people who come to work with me are usually already see the glass half full, though. So they've probably already done some work on themselves. They have a bit, and my passion is helping people, and my skill, I believe, is taking people from good to great.
Lovely.
So at that level of participation, and across all boards, I work. I'd say the last 3 years, 80% of my clients have been in the business world, probably because I've been networking and introduced a lot of referrals, so introduced to business people. However, I've worked with athletes, people in performing arts, dancers, singers, songwriters.
Completely diverse across the board.
Yes, but they all have one thing in common. They're powerful people who want to become more powerful.
Yeah.
And more consistently powerful.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you could give our listeners and watchers out there, one kind of tip, an abundant living tip, something that you have implemented or something that you find has really had an impact on your life, what kind of advice would you give them if they're out there and they're thinking, okay, how can I magnify my greatness and really live my true potential?
It's a very big question, and I've got a huge toolbox full of different tools, but I would say that in terms of the abundant side of living, there's a confusion about what abundance is in our world. And we live in a very materially driven, a very money driven, a very tangible, stuff driven society, where people's sense of self and sense of identification is often tied to the car they drive, the houses they have, how much money's in the bank account, how well their investments are doing, their role, their titles, and so on and so forth. And we forget who we really are. And one of my great teachers told me one day, he said, Johan, the real currency is energy, not money and not stuff, it's energy. And when I understood that, I kind of already understood it unconsciously, But when I understood that consciously, I started to put even more focus on building the energy side of myself. And so my experience and the experience of a lot of people I've worked with, and a lot of other people have done what I've done, and that I've met, and some very great people around the world who have invested in their energy. At that point, we start to understand what true abundance is. Because if our energy is heavy, it's slow, it's sluggish, it's confused, it's perhaps negative, things happen slowly, and we need to put a lot of power behind making things happen, and of course that drains us. It's a little bit like a plane continually flying through the clouds. It's bumpy and it's got to spend a lot of fuel to keep adjusting, and the pilot cannot
keep hold of it.
Keep a hold of it. He's got to stay very far, and it's tiring to do that. Whereas at 30,000 feet, we're up in the sky, and the jet streams are taking care of us. And it's a bit like that with the mind. If our mind is stuck in a lower energy frequency, a lower amplitude energy frequency, everything occurs as harder. So one of the greatest tools that I have in my toolbox is meditation in different forms. And I will teach, for instance, Zen meditation to businessmen who might be resistant to the idea of meditation. In our culture, often for some of the alpha male types, perhaps meditation is something that housewives do after they finish their yoga session. They might have this, I think, very confused and mistaken idea of what meditation is. But then I paint the picture of how some of the greatest warriors in civilization, the most fierce and effective warriors, the samurai warriors, they meditated a lot because they wanted to be absolutely, totally present in the battle without getting distracted. Because I don't know if you've ever seen the sharpness of one of their swords. I mean, it's sharper than a razor blade. So if that strikes you, off is your arm, off is your head.
You
so
need to be aware.
You need to be very, very aware. And it was also, of course, in their civilization, and that then appeals to the businessmen. And I've seen how they transform as a result of practicing meditation, because they have the ability now to hold a thought without it being clobbered and confused by other thoughts which don't serve the particular moment. So and so they can separate the wheat from the chaff and put the horse in front of the cart. Understand very rapidly what is essential and what is not, and just to be able to do that is powerful under pressure. Of course. When all the flak is hitting you, to be able to separate the wheat from the chaff.
Absolutely. No, thank you.
But yes, energy is the ultimate currency, and we're chasing. Most of us are chasing money because we believe that is the ultimate currency, or possessions, or things, or relationships. But energy is, because when we have energy, we start to really understand the abundance within. We become abundant within. Our fear drops, our anxiety drops, and our anger drops, and we start to be filled more with joy and love and compassion, but also especially a sense of confidence, an unshakable, unwaverable confidence. And that then gives us a sense of peace and harmony. And when we approach life from a default setting of peace and harmony, everything occurs differently.
Absolutely. No, thank you. It's very true.
So that's where abundance, I think, starts. And after that, well, build whatever you want to build.
Well, like you said, if we're going to live abundant lives, we need to focus on our internal energy. And then by doing that, essentially, we're going to be able to bring in what we want into our lives, because we have that clarity and that kind of inner peace. So no, thank you very much.
My pleasure indeed.
Johan, it's been a pleasure.
Likewise.
Abundant livers, I hope that tip was useful for you. So the secret of abundancy is definitely energy. So get out there and start your meditation, start focusing on yourself, start looking after yourself, and become abundant. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Bye.